friends, it's Carolee No More, your favorite sewing and quilting YouTuber, and today I'm playing with some toys that Missouri Star sent me, and we're going to use these to make a super fun, functional, and easy project pouch, just a zipper pouch. No box corners on this one, nothing fancy, just straight to the point and so functional. So if you're ready, let's get started. This was part of a program by Missouri Star where they asked me to put together a project to help y'all get organized and, quite honestly, to help me get organized. And so I ordered some fun supplies from Missouri Star. We're going to talk about those as well as the other materials you need to finish this project. Now, you don't need these to finish this project, but I love these binders from Missouri Star. When I was there this past summer, I was floored, and I bought some. They're up on my shelf over here. These ones will be joining, and these are just pattern binders that they have tabs that you can put in there, and then they have these plastic sleeves that you can just slip your patterns in, and now your patterns are all organized. And you can sort them if you want. This one says wall decor. This one says bags and totes. You can put whatever projects or patterns that you want in them though, and then you just put them up on your shelf and you have all your patterns. So easy to find. I think this is genius. I love these, and I was so glad to get some more because these ones are already looking pretty full. So other materials that I got from Missouri Star are these things over here. So I got different zippers from them, and these you can see right through them because these are their fancy zips. So this is a double zipper. Not all of them are double zippers, but they have these cutouts in them that are decorative and so cute. And I love a good zipper. Okay, this one is, these are single zippers, not double zippers. But you can see there's hearts and stars. Oh my. This aqua one has hearts as well. You can flip it over so you can see some more of the designs. These are so cute and add interest to any of your projects. We're going to be using this one today. This one has, let's see if we can, there we go, focus, spools of thread and scissors on there. So I love that. These do need to get put on a little different so that you can get this scalloped edge and this cute edge visible in the project. So we're going to talk about that. And then I also got some different vinyls. So this one is a clear vinyl with sparkles because yes, you need to have your sparked vinyl. And then this one is super cute because this is sewing notions on here. You can see pins and a thimble and sewing machine. This is the Missouri Star logo. All kinds of fun little notions on there. And I thought that was perfect for this project because I'm using the Art Gallery Fabrics So Obsessed line of fabric. So I thought these would look super cute together. Okay, I'm going to tuck these ones out of the way. And I'm going to talk about the other materials that we need. So you need 2 squares of fabric that are 16 inches by 16 inches. You can decide which one's the front and which one's the back. And then also from one of these fabrics or a different fabric, you need a piece that is 16 inches by 4 inches. So that's this right here, 16 inches by 4 inches. And I've just already pressed it in half for us. Okay. Then from your vinyl, you're going to cut a 16 inch by 14 inch tall, so 16 inches wide by 14 inch tall square of the vinyl. And we're going to talk about that for a second because this vinyl is rolled tight. So when you go to unroll it, you end up with this like bumpy, lumpy thing that is hard to work with, especially right now because it's winter and vinyl is very reactive to heat and cold. So when it's cold, it's going to be a little stiffer. So there's a couple ways that you can get this out. You can use some low heat from a hair dryer and then put some books on it to flatten it out. You can try just putting books on it overnight. What I did is I took a very, very, very low heat iron. I put 2 layers of fabric on top and I really quick, like this fast, went over it with the iron. Let it sit, let it cool, check to see if there were any spots that needed more help, and then did it again in those spots. And that's how I was able to get my nice, mostly smooth, mostly flat piece of vinyl that I can use for my project, because I want it nice and flat and smooth. So this lumpy bumpy mess, it's not broken, it's not damaged, it's just cold, and a little warmth will heat it up, but you don't want to warp it. So you want to be careful that you're using a little bit of warmth, not a high heat iron, right? We don't want to burn or scar our vinyl. Okay, so that's our vinyl. We got our vinyl, we have our squares of fabric, we have our strip of fabric. We need our soft and stable interfacing. So I have a 16-inch square of the foam interfacing, and then a 16 by 2-inch rectangle of a foam interfacing. Again, all of this is going to be listed down below in the description. I'm using my fancy zip, and then also we need some binding. And for this, I'm using the Art Gallery Fabrics 2.5 edition binding, which is super cute because it can be 4 different binding designs. We'll talk about that when we put that on. A couple other things, little notions that you're going to find handy are Wonder Clips. So Wonder Clips are fabulous, these little clippies, and because we're using vinyl, when we secure our edges together, pins are going to put holes in our vinyl. We don't want to put holes in our vinyl, so Wonder Clips are going to be fabulous. We'll keep those right over here. And then a little bit of basting spray. I love, this is the SprayNBond basting spray. This is great. I also love the Prym Dritz brand of basting spray. Both of those work great for me. This is what I usually keep in my office, is the SprayNBond brand. So I love these. Use your favorite basting spray. You can pin or clip instead of basting spray. I just find this makes life a little bit easier. Okay, so now we know all the materials that we need to make our zippered project bag, and we're ready to get started. First decision that I need to make is to decide which of my 16-inch squares is going to be the back and which of my 16-inch squares is going to be the front, because that will make a difference in how I put this together. So let's take a look at how this vinyl reacts on the 2 different fabrics. So because I have this fancy vinyl, that's really, for me, going to determine which fabric I want in front and in back. So I put this on here. And it's okay, but I do feel like it takes a lot of that color away from this. So if I put this sewing machine fabric on the back, I feel like this still looks really cute. It allows all those designs to pop, and I don't lose this sewing machine fabric. So this is going to be my front, and this is going to be my back, which I think will look great because when this all goes together, it's going to look a lot like that. So I think that'll look good with the zipper right on top. So I think that's going to look super cute. So you can thread baste or pin baste. I'm a big spray basting fan, so I'm just going to spray baste the fabric to the front and back of my large square. And I just put a little bit of spray. And you want to use that in a well-ventilated area. Don't breathe it in. There we go. So now I'm going to flip it over. And if your fabric is directional on both sides, so this sewing machine fabric is obviously directional. There's a top to the sewing machine and a top and a bottom to the sewing machines. So if your fabric is at all directional, you want to make sure that directional fabric on the front and directional fabric on the back, or well, I guess this is the front and this is the back, that those match up. All right, I'm going to catch any places that I didn't get enough spray base. Once this is done, I can set it aside. And now I just want to do the same thing with my 4-inch piece of fabric and my 2-inch strip of foam. So I'm just going to tuck this right at the fold and fold it over. If it's not exactly perfect, that's okay. That's actually because of the depth of the foam. The foam obviously has some height to it, and so that's going to get caught up on this edge. As long as it's less than 1/4 inch, you'll totally be fine, because when we bind this, we're actually going to bind it with a little more than 1/4 inch, so we're okay. All right, so there's that piece. Now it's time to attach our zipper to the vinyl and to the top of our project bag. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up. This zipper is way longer than I need it to be. So you can see, ooh, so much longer. That's okay. We're going to trim off anything we don't need. And it's going to be easier to sew onto the fabric than onto the vinyl for this first seam. So I'm going to take it, and because I have so much extra zipper, I'm going to have it off the end so that I'll be able to cut off that metal tab. That metal tab, if I have it too close here, it might get in my seam allowance and I might hit it with my needle. So if I have it off the edge, I don't have to worry about hitting it with my needle. I do need to worry about if I open the zipper that I'm going to open it too far, but once the project bag is finished, that won't be a problem. So I only need to worry about that for now while I'm working on putting the bag together. Okay, I'm going to change my presser foot on my sewing machine to a 1/4 inch, or a zipper foot. This is my little Baby Lock Jubilant, and I'm going to put the zipper foot on here. And I'm going to put it on so that I'm sewing to the left of the zipper foot. If I put the zipper foot on the other spot, I'd be sewing to the right of the zipper foot. And you can use a little bit of glue to secure this down. I'm not going to. I'm just going to put this right on, and then with my fingers hold it in place as I sew. Now, if you're a pinner, you can pin. If you are a glue baster, you can baste, that's fine. But I'm just, with my fingers, feeling that the edge of the zipper is up against the edge of this foam. And this is going against the folded side. So the raw edges are over here. The folded, pretty folded side is what the zipper is getting tucked up against. Now, because the zipper is so long, I can actually just go ahead and move my zipper pulls all the way to the far end of the zipper so they'll be out of my way. I just need to make sure that I put them back before I cut anything off. If your zipper isn't long enough that you can pull them out of the way, you would go up to your zipper pulls, and then you could lift up, spin this however you needed to move those zipper pulls, and then put everything back and keep sewing. So we're just going to sew all the way to the end. Okay, I have this all stitched on, and because it is so very close to the edge on the back, I'm going to go ahead and do a second line of stitching. So for that, I can actually just flip that presser foot to the other side, and that should give me pretty even stitching if I line this up. There we go. So I still get that lacy effect look. You can see right here, I still get that lacy effect look, but now I have 2 lines of stitching holding it on the back, and that's going to be super pretty. So now I just need to do the same thing on the other side. I want to line this up, and let's flip it over. So I want to make sure that when I line this up, I am getting the stitches on the vinyl. So I'm going to Add a wonder clip here. Add a wonder clip here. And I'd love to be able to add wonder clips here in the middle, and I can, because I can open up my zipper and clip all along this edge. So without pins, I can get this all lined up exactly where I need it. Okay, so I have this all lined up. I'm going to do that first line of stitching just like I did before. This time I'm going from the right side because that's where the zipper is. And this is already lined up that way. You remove this first clip out of the way. Now, because I am doing vinyl, I'm actually going to bump my stitch length up by 2 stitches because I don't want to over perforate my vinyl. I don't want too many holes in that vinyl because that's going to weaken it. There we go. And now I'm going to go ahead and flip that presser foot to the other side and do that second line of stitching, again with that stitch length bumped up by 2. Gonna zip this all closed. There we go. So this is going to be the front of our bag. Oh, that looks so cute. And then this is the inside of the bag that no one's ever going to see. And you just want to double check to make sure that yes, this did get stitched. Before I forget, I'm going to go ahead and bump that stitch length down by 2 because otherwise I totally forget all the time. Okay, so now we can grab the other half of our bag. And when we do this, we want to make sure that we pay attention to the directionality of that back fabric and put this right on top. We could go ahead and sew our binding on already, but this is a lot of layers. And once we add the binding, it's going to shift even more. So I'm going to do a basting stitch. A basting stitch is going to get hidden away in the edge of the project. So the basting stitch will be about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. And it's just to secure all these layers. So I'm starting by just putting some clips around the edges. Oh, I went way too far on the top. Now my project bag, because of the zipper, if I flip it over, it ended up taller on the top, and I would rather cut off some of the vinyl from the bottom than not have enough room at the top on that top edge. And I don't want that top edge to be crooked, so I'm going to start by lining up that top edge. There we go. And then lining up my sides. Make it as smooth and flat as you can. And now we're going to stitch 1/8 of an inch all the way around. When I get down to this bottom, I have extra vinyl. I want to sew 1/8 of an inch onto the fabric, not onto the vinyl, because that would not secure my layers. I need to go ahead and change out my presser foot. I'm going to change it back just to my standard. This is an end foot on my baby lock. And I'm done with the zipper foot, so I'm going to tuck that away. I keep my feet in one of these little stash and store minis. That keeps it handy. And then here I'll just start along the top edge, though it doesn't really matter. Ooh, lots of layers here. And start stitching. I'll go ahead and bump that actually up by 2 because this is just a basting stitch, so I could bump it up even more than by 2. Bumping up that stitch length will actually make this stitch together faster, and since it's just a basting stitch, it doesn't need to hold. It's not a seam that's going to hold permanently. Now I'm going to sew over the zipper, which is totally fine because the zipper has nylon teeth. You can sew through a nylon zipper. However, if you have your grandma's old sewing tin and it has zippers in it, those zippers may have metal teeth. You cannot sew through zippers with metal teeth. You can sew through nylon zippers. And there are some zippers that look like they have metal teeth, but they're actually nylon zippers with a metallic finish. So just be careful that you don't try to sew through a metal zipper because you could break your needle. But nylon zippers are fine to sew through. All right, at this point we have it all put together, and you can do any squaring up you need to. If any of these edges got a little wonky and you want to square things up, we started out with this being 16 by 16, but if it ends up being 15 by 15, no one's ever going to know. And most quilt blocks top out at 12.5 by 12.5 unfinished anyway, so as long as you're at least 13 inches by 13 inches, like, you're fine, right? I say so. I say at 13 by 13 you are totally fine. So don't worry if you're even cutting off 3 whole inches when squaring this up. Now also I need to do a double check that my zipper pulls are in the middle or somewhere inside the seams of this project bag before I go cutting off my extra zipper. But I'm going to go ahead and cut that off here. And cut that off here. There we go. And now we can go ahead and bind this. Now I'm using this Art Gallery Fabrics 2.5 edition, and this is special because if I put the binding on this way, when I fold this over, this is going to be the front and that's going to be the back. But if I put it on this way, when I fold this over, this magic sparkle is going to be the front and this gray is going to be the back. Now I'm going to add my binding. Now this is 2.5 inch binding, so you want to use a little bit larger than a 1/4 inch seam allowance when you stitch this on. And I am going to leave myself a big tail and then start stitching around the middle. As I'm sewing on this binding, I want to flip over my corner in one direction and then flip it over in the other direction. And then flip this fold back, and that will get me my beautiful mitered corners on my binding. When I get to the end, I'm going to back stitch, forward stitch, and then I can actually cut that thread. Turn it 90 degrees. I'm going to flip this part back. Make sure I have everything lined up. And then start again. Back stitching. And continuing on. Alright, once you've bound all the way around, you can just double check your work and make sure that, yes, that looks super cute. And I'm going to take a little bit of my extra binding over here. And I've cut myself a little strip. This is how you know how big to cut, the difference between your bottom binding strip and your top binding strip. So I've just taken the width of the binding, put it on top of that bottom strip, folded the top strip over, and this line right here, that's what size I need to cut this. And I'm only cutting the top strip, not the bottom strip. So now they overlap by exactly the width of the binding. And that works for any binding. Now I can take these two, put them right sides together. Come here. And if I've given myself enough room, which I barely have, nope, I'm going to go ahead and cut some of these threads here. Give myself a little more room. There we go. Okay, take this end. Take this end. And then sew across. So I'm lining up my square here. Grabbing a pin would not be a crazy idea here, but I'm already committed. And I do want to back stitch. Before I cut any of my fabric off, I want to double check that I haven't messed up and put a twist in here. Nope, I haven't. So that looks good. I can take this and fold it so it's a little more flat and smooth. Trim off my point. Press the seam allowance flat with my fingers. And then fold that in. And now I can sew this last edge. Get that thickness under the machine. There we go. Okay, we have our project bag almost done. The binding is all secured to the front, but we need it wrapped around to the back. Now you can wrap this around to the back and hand stitch it. That's totally an option, and if that's your preference, go for it. You can also wrap this around to the back and sew it from the back with a sewing machine, and your bobbin thread will be what shows on the front. But what I love doing is wrapping it around to the back, securing it with some glue, which is going to baste it in place, and then stitching right in the ditch on the front. That gives me a really pretty front where that stitching is right in the ditch, and it makes sure that everything gets caught in the back because I've basted everything in place. Now let's see. I'm going to start, I think, on this side. So this is the bottom, and it is basically the least thick edge, so it's going to be the easiest to do. I'm going to clip all these extra threads out of the way, and I'm going to grab my school glue. I have my iron warmed up, and I don't want it too hot because I don't want to accidentally melt my vinyl that I have on this other side, because that would be sad, and I don't like being sad when I sew. Alright, so I'm just going to take a line of glue, it doesn't take much, and put it just inside the seam allowance here. If it's too much, just kind of spread it out a little bit. People get worried about there being a big, huge lump of glue, like those kindergarten projects that kids bring home that have that big, huge lump of glue. But we're going to fold this over, and when we hit it with the iron, that's going to smush it flat and heat it up so that it sets. So we're just going to take this and give ourselves like an even look all the way around the back. And this side I actually want it tucked under there, so I'm just going to do this edge right here real quick. Someone recently taught me, as long as I've been quilting, and someone taught me about having noses on your binding. And apparently you don't want a nose on your binding. And a nose on your binding is when basically both folds are folded the same way. I'll show you, because this won't be a nose. And I don't know who decides, like, these are the things that we care about when we do our projects, but somebody decided, and I thought, well, okay, maybe sometimes I'll choose to care about that, and maybe sometimes I'll have noses on my binding and I'll be okay with that too. So I'll show you what that means. Let me know, have you ever heard of a nose on a binding? Okay, so let's see if we can get this close enough. On this side, the binding is folded towards that direction, and on this side the binding is folded towards that direction, and so they're going in opposite directions. But if they were both folded in the same direction, you'd have like two little nostrils right there, and that's what it means to have a nose on your binding, which, I don't know, that also just feels like one more thing for the quilt police to stress about, and that's not my style. But hey, I mean, if it's a thing and we want to worry about it, we can. And if it's a thing and we don't want to worry about it, then we can just not. And that's also fine. Okay. I'm going to try to match that corner as best I can as I glue this over. And do my fingers get glue on them during this process? Yes, yes they do. But I just want to make sure that this binding is going past any stitching. And the reason that's important is because that stitching is basically exactly where my next line of stitching is going to be. So I want to make sure that my next line of stitching will catch the edge of this binding. Okay, I have everything glued to the back, and now I'm going to tuck this in, and I'm going to stitch right up against that edge of the binding. And let's go ahead and bump that stitch length up just by 2. That'll still secure the binding well enough, and it means I'll have less perforations in my vinyl. So you're just going to go all the way to the edge. When you get to that corner, put your needle down, press your foot up, spin it, press your foot back down, and then we can keep sewing. Now, depending on the vinyl you're using, this vinyl is nice and matte, which means not shiny. If you have a really shiny vinyls tend to be stickier, and so a metal presser foot will catch or stick against that shiny vinyl, and that can be a problem. So there's a couple solutions there. One solution is to get a Teflon foot. So I have a Teflon foot for my baby lock. A Teflon foot is just like a Teflon pan. It's non-stick, and it'll glide right over your project. So that's one option, is a Teflon foot. If you're not sure if you're going to do many of these projects, and so you don't know that you want to invest in a Teflon foot, or if you just don't need every single foot on the market, which I don't understand that. I need absolutely every presser foot on the market. I want them all, I want to try them all, I want to play with them all. But if getting every single presser foot on the market is not your goal in your quilty life, that's fine. I mean, I suppose that's fine. But you can take a piece of masking tape, or you can use Scotch tape, but you don't want to use the shiny Scotch tape. You want to use the tape that's a little, the tape is a little matte itself, and just put that on the bottom of your presser foot. You definitely want to cut out any areas where like the needle needs to go, so it's not getting in the way, but you just cover the bottom of your presser foot with a little bit of tape, and that will keep the metal from sticking against the vinyl. So those are all options to be able to do this if you have a different vinyl that you've chosen. Although, I mean, this vinyl is pretty cute. Plus it's matte, so you don't have to worry about that. All right, so I'm going to just keep stitching all the way around. I should have grabbed my reading glasses, so this may not be my best stitching ever, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect to be fun and fabulous and functional, which is what I was going for. I wanted to have a cute, organized project bag. It wasn't about having an award-winning project. So that's okay. And I think that sometimes if I can be imperfect here on YouTube for you, then maybe that'll give some of y'all permission to be a little imperfect as well, because it's about the journey, not just about a perfect project in the end. I love the making and I love the hanging out with you. So thank you for being here and joining in as we make this project together. Okay, I'm going all the way around until I get back to the beginning. And then once I get back to the beginning, I'm going to do a couple stitches back. Not too many because I'm going in this vinyl. A couple of stitches forward, needle up, clip my threads. All right, so I'm going to bring this up and you can see how I did. I'm going to give you an up close look. No one else is ever going to look at this close again, I promise. Nobody cares as much as we care right now. And then the back, as long as all those edges are caught, I'm fine. If there's an edge that's not caught, I can go back and do it by hand if I want. And that's it. Simple project bag. I can tuck whatever projects I have in here. The zippers just open nice and wide. And then, yep, I have project bag for blocks and projects and whatever I'm working on for 2024. All right, friends, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, leave those down below. Let me know other ways that you want to see these zippers used, because I have some more that Missouri Star sent me, and I'd love to make some more projects with them. Friends, if you're not already subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I don't know what's stopping you, but that's it for today. Friends, I'll see you right here real soon. Bye for now.